Hello, and welcome back to another video. This is the second episode of story in which Naruto and Shikamaru were the only survivors of the Fourth War. Kurama, seeing them fade, sent them back to the Jonan days to prevent the war. Make sure to click the like and subscribe buttons. Now let's begin. Are we done yet? Shikamaru asked the blonde, his arms loaded down with bags. Kasan gave us a long list, we aren't even halfway through it. Naruto shook the piece of paper, the long piece of paper. Now that she has two students, she has been poring over all her cookbooks, Shikaku said, amused at the sight of the two boys, both burdened with bags of food like he was. She's a slave driver, Tosan. I've burned myself more cooking than I did when I was learning how to use explosive tags. Naruto grumbled as they walked down the street of the busy marketplace, face impassive at the harsh glares and words sent his way. However, they were considerably less because the head and the heir of the Nara clan were flanking him, Shikamaru automatically on Naruto's right. Shikaku had taken note of this and let his son stay where he seemed most comfortable, and if that was where Solidar usually stood when walking with his superior, then so be it. The head of the Nara clan would find out the truth soon, he always did. Are you seeing this, Kakashi? Asuma blew out a stream of smoke. Usually seeing is believing, but even I'm having a hard time believing this. Kakashi leaned on the railing on the roof of one of the stores that overlooked the marketplace, his visible eye trained on his blonde student. Said student was currently food shopping with Shikaku and Shikamaru Nara. I knew that Naruto was integrated into Shikamaru's clan, but I didn't think he was this integrated. Asuma scratched his beard and told Kakashi of what he saw that day when he played shogi with Shikamaru. The two Jounin senseis watched as Naruto said something. Shikamaru laughed and elbowed the blonde while Shikaku shook his head fondly and ruffled both the boys' hair. We should invite our teams to dinner, to gauge their relationship, Kakashi said, slowly, a plan forming. That is a youthful idea, my eternal rival. I shall inform my team to meet your other youthful teams at 7 tonight at the usual barbecue place, Guy shouted from behind the two, startling the bearded Jounin and the silver-haired Jounin inside at the loud voice. Looks like it's happening then. I'll go inform my team at Gurenai's, you can tell Naruto and Shikamaru. Asuma held up a hand before he disappeared in a puff of smoke to find Choji, Ino and his lover. Kakashi sighed before he dropped down into an alleyway and sauntered over to where the trio was standing. Kakashi-sensei. Naruto waved both his arms at the silver-haired Jounin cheerfully. Naru-sama, Shikamaru-kun, right? Kakashi raised a hand in greeting. Hi Kakashi-sensei, nice to meet you. Shikamaru inclined his head slightly to the older man. I came to tell you too, that if you are free, the other teams are all meeting up tonight at Yakiniku-Q around 7 for dinner. Kakashi invited the two Jonan. The preteens exchanged small glances before turning to Shikaku, who rubbed his neck. I can hold Yoshino-chan off for tonight, Shikaku said, his voice portraying his dread at the coming storm that was his wife. We'll be there, Kakashi-sensei. Naruto gave his sensei thumbs up and Shikamaru just yawned. That means he's in. I'm learning Naru speak. Kakashi gave an eye smile before he disappeared in a swirl of leaves as per usual. Shikamaru and Naruto exchanged knowing glances as Shikaku discreetly observed the two communicating silently and added it to the growing theory he was creating before the trio went on to try to finish the list Yoshino had assigned them. ~7 o'clock found Shikamaru and Naruto standing outside of Yakiniku-Q, looking at the restaurant with dread. Just act normal, let's see what they can infer from our behavior. Naruto suggested with a smirk. Should be fun. Shikamaru returned the smirk as the two entered the restaurant, easily spotting Kakashi, Asuma, Kurenai, Guy, Sakura, Choji, Ino, Hinata, Kiba, Akamaru, Shino, Lee and Tenten right away. Looks like Sasuke and Neji didn't even bother to show up. Well, that was fine with the two, as they hated their younger selves, so it was no big loss. Glad you could make it. Asuma gestured to the two remaining seats, right across from their senseis. Shikamaru raised a hand in greeting and Naruto beamed as the two slid into the seats and looked around the table. Asuma and Kakashi watched their Jonan's faces carefully as the two smiled at the people around them as introductions and greetings were exchanged. They saw many emotions flash in their eyes, including fond recognition of Tenten and Lee, even though they had never met before this dinner. There was also an underlying sadness and darkness within their eyes. The two Jounins exchanged subtle glances and they both came to the silent agreement to keep a careful eye on the two Jonan. I'll take that. Shikamaru snagged a piece of food off of Naruto's plate and swallowed it with a smirk. That wasn't nice, Shikamaru. Ino narrowed her eyes at her teammate. He hated that anyways, what's the big deal? Shikamaru asked as he slowly chewed his food. He's right and I'll be taking this. Naruto snagged something from Shikamaru's plate. He's allergic to it. He cut off Ino before she could say anything. She sat back blinking in shock. Sakura-chan, why aren't you eating? Naruto glanced at his teammate's plate in concern. He had really hoped she was off of her stupid diet. Hell, even Ino was eating normally. I'm not hungry, that's all. She defended, and Ino picked up on what was going on and turned her intense blue gaze on the pink-haired girl. You're not still on that stupid diet, are you? Ino asked sharply, and the girl sputtered. It's not healthy, and if you are training then you are burning it off. If you want to have any chance of beating me in the Chunin exams billboard brow, then you have to eat. Ino used Sakura's old name to get her old friend angry, and it worked if the tick on her forehead was anything to go by, but she started in on her plate with gusto. Kakashi and Naruto smiled at the blonde in thanks, and she blushed slightly. Shikamaru turned to Shino with a faraway look in his eyes. Naruto stepped on the Nara's foot under the table. How are you, Shino-kun? Shikamaru asked softly, and the Aburame looked up at the Nara in surprise. I am well, and yourself? He asked from behind the wide collar of his coat. I'm getting pretty good at my clan's jutsus. How are you and your Kikaiku developing? Shikamaru asked, sincerely interested in the Aburame, and Kurenai both looked at the Nara in shock. Naruto smiled slightly when he saw the upturn of Shino's lips just over the top of his collar before the blonde turned towards Tenten and Lee after pushing some beef onto Choji's plate. Seeing the Jinan had finished his, and he got a bright smile in return. So Tenten-chan, I hear you are the weapons mistress of Konoha, Naruto said, excitement lacing his voice. My father owns the best weapon shop in town, and I love every sort of weapon. Tenten admitted, her eyes brightening at the talk of weapons. I've been wondering about katanas lately. Can you tell me a bit more about them? Naruto asked, curious as to what her father's shop has in stock, not being able to go and visit it himself, and not as Akira, not yet at least. Tenten beamed, and she launched into the conversation with Naruto about the different types of katanas her father had and what each one was used for. Naruto was paying rapt attention and adding his 2 cents every so often as he was reminded of the conversations he and Shikamaru had with the future Tenten when they got there, not yet legendary, katanas, causing his eyes to soften. Their conversation finished as she went to take a drink of water, her eyes still bright from talking about her passion. So Lee-kun, you're the one who walks around Konoha on his hands. That is really impressive. I don't think I could ever do that, Naruto laughed, being totally truthful, as he and Lee had a contest in the future and Naruto ended up laying flat on his back and his arms like jello. The green-clad ninja had to carry him around on his back for the rest of the day. It was quite the sight to be seen, as he was Rokudaime Hokage at the time. Thank you, Naruto-kun. If you ever want to train with me, I will welcome a new sparring partner, Lee said in his youthful voice. Daijutsu, right? I'm looking forward to it. Bushy brows. Naruto held his hand out and Lee beamed as he shook it. Yosh. I will await our sparring match, Naruto-kun. Lee beamed, and Guy rambled on in the background about the power of youth. You know, Lee-kun, Naruto-chan here took Sasuke-kun down yesterday. Kakashi spoke up, and the whole table froze to look at the blonde, who laughed nervously. Shikamaru shook his head fondly, if not a bit irritated at the fact the blonde showed some of his true skills, and Sakura huffed. He attacked me from behind, I just reacted. Naruto admitted, after all it was what happened. That is most youthful, Naruto-kun. I will train to surpass you. Lee clenched his fist and his eyes burst into youthful flames. Shikamaru smiled to himself, this might let Lee avoid fighting Sasuke, and therefore Sasuke won't copy Lee's famous Daijutsu move. Here you go, Akamaru. Shikamaru lowered a piece of food to the Nikken. Akamaru yipped happily and chewed contently on the offered food. That's his favorite food, Kiba said, slightly shocked as he ran his fingers through Akamaru's fur. How did you know? I just remembered it from our academy days. Shikamaru played it off as Akamaru licked Shikamaru's fingers fondly, whining lowly like he sensed all Shikamaru's emotions. He quickly scaled up onto the Nara's lap and then easily moved up onto the Jinan's shoulders. Shikamaru, being used to this from the future timeline, just sat still until Akamaru made himself comfortable before he went back to eating. What? Shikamaru asked, looking up at the shocked teammate. Nothing, Kiba said, eyes locked on the Nara, who just shrugged and went back to his meal. How are you doing, Hinata-chan? Naruto asked softly, and the Hyuga air squeaked slightly. I'm good, Naruto-kun. How are you? She stammered out, fingers twiddling bashfully. I'm excited for the Chunin exams. Are you entering? He asked, smiling softly at her stammer. He now found it adorable. Why, yes. I know why you will be BG great, Hinata stuttered. I know you will give it your all, Hinata-chan, and no matter what happens I'll be proud of you. Naruto beamed at her, referring to her future fight with Neji, but she didn't know that yet. Thank you and Naruto-kun. She squeaked as her cheeks heated up and she slumped back in her chair unconscious. She always does that. Is she sick or something? Naruto asked Kurenai worriedly. No, she'll be fine Naruto-kun. Kurenai giggled and went to try to wake the Hyuga girl up. Good, that's a relief, Naruto sighed and Shikamaru sighed. No matter the time, Naruto was still dense when it came to girls. The senseis watched the teams interact over the course of the dinner and was both pleased and confused at how Shikamaru and Naruto talked with the other Genons. So. That was interesting. Asuma lit up a cigarette as he stood with the other Jounins outside after their students left. Naruto-kun and Shikamaru-kun eyes hold such hidden sorrow, Guy said in a rather somber tone. And they were directed at our Genon. They were also talking with them like they had known the others all their lives, Kurenai said, having been briefed by Asuma. You said that Nara-sama seems to know Naruto-kun personally? She turned to Kakashi. From the sounds of it, he is a regular guest at their clan home. He and Shikamaru-kun seem very close, Kakashi said. I saw Naruto-kun at the Nara compound, going to help one of Shikamaru's cousins help herd deer, and she seemed to know him quite well. Asuma let out a narrow stream of smoke from his lips. However, Shikamaru had never mentioned him before. There is something going on with those two, Kakashi said as he pulled out his Icha Makeout Paradise. Nothing we can do now until after the exams are over. My eternal rival is correct. Guy clenched his fists in his dramatic style. Did you say something? Kakashi didn't look up from his book. Asuma and Kurenai rolled their eyes as Guy ranted about how hip and cool his rival was. So how did we do? Naruto asked as he and Shikamaru lay on Shikamaru's usual cloud-watching hill, this time watching the sun dye the horizon a beautiful mixture of colors. We spiked our sensei's interests, but I think we started the foundations for a strong friendship with the others, Shikamaru said after a moment of silence. I think so too. Tomorrow the Sand siblings come to town, Naruto said, pillowing his head on his hands. It's going to be weird seeing Gaara all bloodthirsty again. Shikamaru closed his eyes briefly as Tamari's face flashed in his mind. Then the exams begin, all our plans start, and we can really make a difference. I wonder if seeing Shukaku will wake Kurama up. Naruto wondered aloud, poking at his seal. That would be useful. Having more information on how we even got here would be an added bonus, Shikamaru agreed. Until tomorrow then, Naruto stated, and the two fell into a comfortable silence. Wake up, you lazy brat. I finally wake up from my nap and you aren't even awake. Kurama's voice echoed inside of Naruto's head and the blonde snapped his eyes open, seeing he was in the shared mind space. Kurama? Are you finally awake after all this time? You sent us back to the past, you fuzzball, and then you have the nerve to take a nap. Naruto ranted at the Kyuubi. You should be more grateful, brat. Using that space-time jutsu could have killed me. I sent you two back to the past to make sure the war stops from happening, and none of my siblings will be used to make that beast. Kurama flicked his tails annoyed while Naruto dodged them with ease, too used to this form of annoyance from the Nine Tails. So this is all real, everyone is still alive? Naruto asked as he managed to curl up next to the fox's furry face. It's all real, kid, you can stop it all from playing out the way it did in the future. Kurama assured the small blonde. Thank you, Kurama. You're the best, I don't care what anyone says. Naruto somehow wrapped his little 12-year-old arms around Kurama's large black nose. The Kyuubi huffed slightly, but allowed the Genon to hug him. The Chunin exams are starting tomorrow. Today is the day I meet Gaara for the first time. How do you think it will go with Shukaku sealed inside of him? Naruto asked, concerned for the future Kazekage. I don't really want to fight him again right after I fight Neji, but I will if I have to. I have a theory, but until you see Gaara I won't know if it is plausible, Kurama said slowly. Fine, don't share with the rest of the class then, you furball. Naruto huffed and Kurama batted him with one of his tails. I should go. If I'm going to save Konohamaru from Kankuro then I better be off. Kurama grunted as Naruto faded from the mind space. Naruto opened his eyes and looked around to see Shikamaru had already gotten up and was most likely out herding the deer or helping Kasan make breakfast. Naruto rolled off his bed and pulled on his orange jumpsuit and absently wondered what clothes he should get after the Chunin exams were done. He padded down the hallway and entered the dining hall to see Shikamaru, Yoshino and Shikaku already there. Morning, Naru-chan. You're just in time. Yoshino sang as the blonde slid into a chair as she and Shikamaru served up breakfast. This looks great, Kasan. Naruto slapped his hands together in thanks before attacking his food with gusto. Yoshino smiled good-naturedly and Shikaku smirked a bit while Shikamaru rolled his eyes fondly before he too attacked his food. Yoshino and Shikaku exchanged pleased looks. Their boys were getting up to a healthy weight and their pale skin darkened a bit thanks to the time he spent out in the sun, and they started to grow height-wise as puberty slowly started to descend upon them. "So what do you two plan on doing today?" Yoshino asked as she too started in on her food. "I promised Konohamaru we would play ninja today, so I'm going to find him," Naruto said, and Shikamaru gave a knowing nod. "I'm going to go find Asuma-sensei and see if he wants to go cloud watching. I know Ino and Choji are busy today." Shikamaru shrugged his shoulders. "Just be back in time to herd the deer," Shikaku reminded the two. "Hi To-san." They sang before stacking their empty plates in the sink. With waves at the two adults, the two Genin left the Nara compound for the day. "The fur ball finally woke up and told me he did a space-time jutsu and all this is real," Naruto reported to Shikamaru as they walked into the village. "We'll talk more when we herd the deer tonight. We should have more to talk about after you encounter Gaara," Shikamaru decided before the two nodded at each other and they parted ways. "Let go of me, you big bully." Konohamaru's voice caught Naruto's fox-enhanced ears. Looks like he needed to hurry if Konohamaru already was encountering Kankuro. He focused and appeared next to Konohamaru and placed his hand tightly on Kankuro's wrist before Sasuke could throw his pebble from his hiding place in the nearby tree. "I would put him down if I were you. Hurting the Sandaime's grandson will nothing for the alliance between our nations." Naruto spoke calmly to Kankuro, wincing as Kankuro's dead face overlapped with Kankuro's current one. "The Sandaime's grandson? This little brat?" Kankuro huffed by released Konohamaru, who scurried up Naruto's back, clinging to his shoulders, trembling slightly. Naruto caught Sakura muttering the same thing from behind him. "Yes, I take you're here for the Chunin exams?" His gaze flitted between Kankuro and Temari, holding back a smile at his future friends. "Yes we are from Suna." Temari responded haughtily. "Welcome to Konoha." Naruto bowed his head in respect to his future allies. "Kankuro, Temari." A far too familiar voice called out as Gaara joined their group. Naruto felt his lips twitch upwards at the little version of the Kazekage. "Don't make a scene." Right away the two backed off, fear tinting their eyes, and Naruto's gaze hardened. He would have to fix this, and soon. "What is your name?" Gaara stared the blonde down. "Naruto Uzumaki, and this is my teammate Sakura Haruno." Naruto bowed his head in respect for the future Kage. "Sabaku no Gaara. My siblings Kankuro and Temari. Mother is interested in you, but does not want me to kill you. We will meet again, Naruto Uzumaki." Gaara's teal eyes narrowed and something in them showed recognition at the blonde in front of him. "Yes we shall, Gaara. I'm looking forward to it," Naruto said evenly and kept his gaze level as Gaara's eyes looked back at him, surprised at the response. Kankuro and Temari shot Naruto a look that expressed their thoughts of the blonde. In other words, they thought Naruto was insane for looking forward to meeting Gaara again. "Are you okay, Konohamaru?" Naruto looked down at the child on his shoulders once the Sand siblings were out of sight. "Yeah. You were so cool, Naruto-ni-chan," Konohamaru announced, eyes wide as he grinned up at his blonde hero. Hey, thanks." Naruto chuckled. He shot a glance up at the tree where he knew Sasuke was perched before he turned around and started to walk away, listening to Konohamaru ramble on in childlike awe. "So that went well," Naruto thought as he played ninja with Konohamaru. "Better than I thought. My theory is correct. When you go to herd deer tonight, enter our mind space and I'll know for sure." Kurama instructed the Genin, who gave a mental noise of agreement before turning all his attention to Konohamaru for the rest of the day. After Naruto dropped Konohamaru off at his home, Naruto decided to wander a bit to kill time until he had to meet Shikamaru to help herd deer. "Naruto!" a voice called out. Naruto let a huge smile cross his lips as he turned and spotted Iruka-sensei hurrying over to where the blonde stood, waving one arm in greeting. "Iruka-sensei," Naruto shouted, waving both his arms wildly. He had really missed his big brother and he hadn't seen the Chunin in such a long time. "I haven't seen you around lately. How are you doing?" Iruka questioned as he fell into step beside the blonde, who adjusted their course to head to the Chunin's apartment. "My team has been entered for the Chunin exams, Iruka-sensei. Can you believe it?" Naruto bounced on his heels excitedly as the duo walked. He spotted Iruka's face darken briefly at these words, but his features brightened before he smiled at the blonde Genin. Naruto then remembered that Kakashi had told him in the future that he was terrified of Iruka-sensei. The Chunin had been very vocal about Kakashi's decision to enter Team 7 in the exams. However, it led to a strong bond between the two, and Naruto secretly agreed with Ino when she had said that the two were the perfect balance for each other and should just hook up. Perhaps it would happen this time around, then both his big brothers would be happy. "I heard." Naruto. Do you know what could happen in these exams? Iruka asked, seriously, snapping the blonde out of his thoughts. Yeah. Kakashi-sensei told us about them. He was really serious about it actually, and he seemed worried for our safety, but I have a good feeling about these exams, Iruka-sensei. Just you wait, I'm working my way up to Hokage. Naruto gave Iruka a foxy grin and watched, as the tension seemed to leave Iruka's form as they arrived at Iruka's apartment. That's good, just be careful, Naruto, Iruka said, heaving a resigned sigh. Naruto felt his willpower break and he flung his arms around Iruka's waist and buried his face in the Chunin's flak jacket, inhaling the calming scent. He felt Iruka startle before arms wrapped around his shoulders tightly in a hug. Thanks for worrying, Iruka-sensei. Naruto muttered. I'll always worry about you, Naruto. Iruka chided gently. Just stays alive. Don't do anything stupid when I'm not around, like hunt down Kakashi-sensei and scold him. Naruto gave a cheeky smile as the two broke their brotherly embrace. There's an idea. Iruka smirked. I think that he will be worrying just as much as you, so don't go too hard on him, Iruka-sensei, Naruto shouted back over his shoulder as he jumped off the railing of the building and leapt across the rooftops. I should talk to him, I guess offering him ramen couldn't hurt. Iruka muttered to himself as he opened his front door. Since the village didn't get destroyed by Shukaku, I'm going to assume the meeting with Gaara went well. Shikamaru guessed as the two entered the forest on the Nara's land later that night. He said mother was interested in me, but didn't want Gaara to kill me. I think Shukaku has some issues, or the power of his actual mother is mixing with Shukaku's rage at being sealed. Naruto guessed as he spotted some deer grazing in the distance. So can Kurama shed any light on it? Shikamaru snorted at Naruto's words. He said I should go into her mind space tonight and he will know if his theory is correct. Naruto shook his shoulders. So in other words, you are leaving the deer herding to me? Shikamaru gave the blonde a disgruntled look. Naruto made a hand seal and a single cage bunshine appeared next to Shikamaru. Not completely, this will help ward off any questions as to where I went. You better tell me everything that happens. Shikamaru warned, and Naruto snapped off an Anbu salute and Shikamaru just waved the blonde off before he and the bunshine went off to herd the deer, while the real Naruto leapt up into the trees and made himself comfortable on a wide tree branch. He closed his eyes and took a few soothing breaths before his pupils slitted and he entered his and Kurama's mind space. This isn't our usual mind space. Naruto looked around on guard, as Kurama appeared next to him in a pure white space. No, this is the mind space that we the tailed beasts share. It isn't affected by time or space. Kurama explained, and Naruto processed this. So you're saying that any of the other bijus could show up here? Naruto squeaked in alarm. Been a long time, you brat. A voice rumbled and Naruto spun around to see Shukaku appearing in the mind space, and right away the blonde leapt up onto Kurama's head for safety. You're not going to try to kill me, are you? He asked, fingers clenching Kurama's red fur. Calm down, I remember everything from the future. Shukaku sat down, winding his large tail around his body. So you're not going to cause havoc this time around? Naruto asked hopefully. Too much hassle. Shukaku huffed. What about Gaara? Are you going to keep tormenting him and make him call you mother? Naruto pressed, worried for the redhead. That wasn't completely me making him call me that, it was the link to his mother's power in his sand. Shukaku protested, annoyed. But even if I was willing to be friends with the little brat since he fought to save me from being sealed, I can't do much about it if his seal is still as flimsy as it is now. If he falls asleep or gets too angry, then it will break and I will be released, and it will do more harm than good to both him and the people around him at the time. Shikamaru and I have a plan to fix his seal during the Chunin exams. If you tell Gaara not to freak out and kill us with his sand while we reseal him, that would be great, Naruto said honestly. I'll pass on the message. Shukaku nodded his head and suddenly a new tailed beast appeared. Naruto. The beast intoned surprised. Gyuki. Naruto beamed at the eight-tailed octopus. You remember too? How's B doing? Still rapping, but completely alive thanks to you too, I'm guessing. The Hachibi surmised. Kurama here did some space-time jutsu so we can stop everything that happened from happening. Naruto explained and blinked as the rest of the tailed beasts appeared, and he sat back on Kurama's head as the bijus reunited with each other and exchanged notes. Well, this could work well for us in the future. Naruto muttered to Kurama, who just grunted, still slightly annoyed that the blonde had the balls to sit on his head. He didn't know how the toad stood it. What is your plan, Naruto-kun? I want to keep Fu safe this time around. Chomei turned to the blonde and the other bijus made agreeing noises. The best thing you all can do right now is make sure you are on good terms with your Jinchuriki and warn them of the coming threat. For those who aren't integrated into their village, send them to Killer Bee. We are stronger when we are together, and since we know what is coming this time, we can be prepared and everyone can learn to work together and create their own Shirka shrouds like Kurama and I did during the war, Naruto said, unconsciously using his Hokage voice, thus causing all the tailed beasts to pay attention to his words. Kurama felt a small amount of pride rush through his being at how all his siblings were listening the blonde's words. Once Shikamaru, Gaara and myself finish the Chunin exams, we will arrange a meeting of all the Jinchurikis someplace safe and I will fix their seals if needed. Naruto finished outlining his plan and got nods from the Bijus. Great, well, you all talk amongst yourselves, I've got deer to herd and Shikaku, you have a message to deliver. With that the blonde focused and he disappeared from the shared mind space. Your Jinchuriki is something else, Kurama. Muratabi commented. He's a brat. Kurama huffed as he settled down on his front paws. At least he isn't a girl who is discovering the opposite sex. Muratabi licked her paw and rubbed it behind her ear like a true cat. He's just too dense to notice. Kurama smirked. Fu just learned how to fly, she crashed through a lot of trees, but she did it. Chome commented smugly to Kokuo, who nodded politely as he tried to find something that Han did, but he didn't think killing some bandits counted as an achievement. What are you even talking about, Isabu? My Jinchuriki is clearly the best. He can control our sand without me even being sealed inside of him. Shukaku boasted to the three-tail. Mine is the Mizukage. Isabu shot back. Mine will become the youngest ever Kazekage, Shukaku insisted. Goku shut his eyes to take a nap and Seiken followed suit. Kurama was just wondering why he thought bringing them all together was a good idea. __ nice of you to join me. Shikamaru commented to Naruto as the blonde sat beside him in the middle of the herd of deer, letting his bonshine disappear, and he nuzzled by a fawn who was quite taken with the blonde. You didn't need me to help herd after all. Naruto smirked as he petted the fawn softly. So it turns out the Bijus have some sort of shared mind space that transcends time and space, so they all showed up and remembered. So we made a plan to warn all the other hosts of the growing threat and the ones who live away from their village to meet up with Killer Bee. I talked Shukaku into being nicer to Gaara, and when we approach him, to stay still and let us fix his seal. Then I said after we finish with the whole Chunin exam/invasion scenario, we would make all the other hosts meet up and plan out how we are going to survive this time around. You used your Hokage voice, didn't you? Shikamaru asked, already knowing this plan as he helped Naruto develop it. Maybe. Naruto shifted his eyes to the right and Shikamaru snorted as he fed a different fawn. Kosan is coming this way, be ready for a talk. You think he has figured it out yet? Naruto whispered as Shikaku came into view. Maybe. Shikamaru muttered back as Shikaku fed some of the deer before sitting down across from the two Jinan. How are you two holding up? Shikaku asked, leaning back on his palms. Nervously. Naruto wiped his palms on his orange pants and Shikamaru nodded his head in agreement. I want to talk with you two about some things I've been noticing, Shikaku said slowly, gauging their expressions and body language. They didn't move from their spots on the grass and their faces took a look of impassiveness that betrayed nothing, very much like an Anbu. Like what, Tosan? Shikamaru asked, his voice flat but prepared. Just a few inaccuracies with your reasoning as to why you two are always up by 6 a.m., Shikaku said in a tone that sounded like he was talking about the weather. Oh? Naruto was honestly wondering where Shikaku was going. I don't think you two are going to meet your teams. I think you two are hiding something and I want to know why you two feel the need to hide your secret from me, Shikaku said, concerned. You are a genius, Shikaku-san. Naruto rubbed the back of his head. He is my Tosan Nar. Shikamaru yawned, his signal for their newest half-truth to take place. I guess we have some explaining to do. During our time in the academy we were labeled dead lasts. That's not the case. Naruto started and he saw Shikaku was looking at the two intensely. We pulled our performances in class, the way they taught did nothing for us. Shikamaru interjected. We found out that working together we could surpass everyone's expectations of us. The reason we have gotten up so early was so we could train together, we could encourage each other and work on our skills, Naruto said. Some would call us prodigies, I guess. Why didn't you just tell us, me? Shikaku asked, a look of betrayal flashing and Shikamaru felt guilt welling up in his stomach. We wanted to, Tosan. At the same time, we needed this to be a secret. We needed people to underestimate us, Shikamaru said softly. In this world, it is good to have a few surprises up your sleeves, Shikaku agreed as he traced the scars on his face as he sat in thought. How long have you two been training together? Since the academy, Naruto said right away. The time they spent training together in the future and the time they spent in the academy almost lined up perfectly. That long, huh? Shikaku muttered. Sorry for not telling you sooner, Tosan. Shikamaru bowed his head. He felt all the emotions of his father dying during the war well back up, thinking that his father was disappointed in him. He blinked as a hand landed on his head and he glanced up to see his dad looking down at him with a small smile and kind eyes. I understand, Shika-chan. I'm proud of you two for taking your training into your own hands. If you need any help, don't hesitate to ask me, I would be glad to help you too. Now on to more current events. Are you two ready for the Chunin exams? Shikaku smiled and both Naruto and Shikamaru slumped in relief. We're totally ready for this. Naruto pumped his fist into the air. Ma, it'll be troublesome. But we've got this, Tosan. Shikamaru assured his father as he scratched his head. I'll be looking forward to seeing both of you two in the final rounds, Shikaku said with confidence. We'll make it there. Naruto promised. Today's the day, Naruto stated gravely as he and Shikamaru went to the exam building to meet their teams and begin the cursed Chunin exams. Shikamaru grunted, rubbing his eyes annoyed. The beginning of the end. Naruto went on. Do you really have to monologue our impending doom? Shikamaru cast a sideways glance at the orange-clad Jinan. I think it makes things more exciting. Naruto grinned cheekily and ducked a swing from Shikamaru's arm. Like we need any more excitement during this exam. Shikamaru snorted as the two came into view of the rest of their teammates. Understatement, time to show them a more serious side of Naruto Uzumaki, Naruto said in a low voice before simply raising a hand at Sakura and Sasuke, who just huff-turned and looked away. About time. Ino commented at Shikamaru, who just rolled his eyes, and the group entered the building. Okay, we need to go to the third floor, Sakura said, looking up from the slip of paper Kakashi-sensei had given her. Before we go any further, Sakura-chan, I want you to know that I will never give up no matter what the task or question is. I will never walk away from it. I expect you to do the same. Naruto commented to the pink-haired Jinan in a serious voice, and she blinked, taken back. Okay, I will remember that, Naruto. Sakura nodded, not having expected that from the blonde. Okay, let's go then. Naruto nodded and strode forward with his head and shoulders held high and sturdy. Shikamaru noted it was the same one he used when he led the troops on the front lines as Hokage. Shikamaru quickly fell into step with the blonde at his right, with the rest of the two teams following closely behind them. Naruto spotted Team Guy right away and waved cheerfully at Lee and Tenten, who waved back before moving on. Shikamaru smiled, glad they avoided the Sasuke vs Lee fight. Lee had worked hard on his taijutsu and it was unfair that Sasuke could copy it the moment he saw it. The only reason he and Naruto knew it was because Lee and Guy taught them their type of taijutsu. The same was said for learning the Hyuga's clan style from Neji and Hinata. They spotted teammate yelling at a Chunin to let them pass, but Shikamaru, Naruto and Sasuke saw through it simply. Shikamaru motioned to his team and silently they walked past the crowd and up to the true third floor. Where are they going? Sakura hissed at Naruto. The real third floor. This is a genjutsu, Naruto whispered and quickly slapped his hand over Sasuke's mouth. Don't say a word. If they can't even see past a weak level genjutsu, then they shouldn't be competing, Naruto hissed and proceeded to drag the Uchiha up the stairs to the real third floor and smiled as Shino said something to his team and Kiba huffed, but followed Shino's lead and silently left the crowd. My kawaii Jinans, you made it here, and as a team no less, Kakashi said with a nice smile as he appeared in a puff of smoke as Team 7 arrived on the third floor. He bit back a smile at the sight of Naruto having his hand over Sasuke's mouth and dragging him. What do you mean by that, Kakashi-sensei? Sakura asked, confused. He means, Sakura-chan, that if we arrive not as a team then we wouldn't be able to move on to the next part of the exam. Naruto fielded the question and Kakashi nodded his head, signaling Naruto was correct. Good luck, my kawaii Jinans. Kakashi gave another eye smile before he disappeared in a puff of smoke. Remember what I said, Sakura-chan, and keep in mind I'm not completely useless. Naruto reminded Sakura as the trio entered the room and Sasuke followed them, frowning and silently fuming. Naruto looked around the room to see ninjas already in there. He spotted Shikamaru's team seated and the Nara looking extremely bored. Nothing new there. He saw Kabuto already playing the innocent Jinan, handing out statistic cards to other Jinans in the room. Naruto had to keep an animalistic growl held in at the sight of the Jinan. That might be why Shikamaru had his eyes closed. Naruto forced the rest of his team into seats and balanced his chin on his hand as he observed the room. Team 8 came in along with Team Guy and the Sand Sibs. Naruto made eye contact with Gaara, who nodded slightly at the blonde, and Naruto took this as a sign that Shikaku had talked to him. Well, it was one step in the right direction at least, and he also picked out the kunoichi that Orochimaru had taken the form of, and the way Orochimaru was eyeing Sasuke was only making his resolve stronger. After sending his team some glares that said to be quiet and not talk to anyone, Ibiki finally entered the room. "Listen, brats. The first part of the Chunin exams will begin now. It is a written test and you have 2 hours," Ibiki shouted at the room full of Jonin with slight distaste as he walked around, handing out sheets of paper. "If you get caught cheating, then you and your team will be expelled from the room and you are out of the exam." Ibiki stood at the front of the room after all the Jonins had their papers. "Your 2 hours begin now." Naruto looked down at the paper and had to resist palming his face. These questions were easy. Like Academy easy and had no real value in the real world, he would know after all. He went at it and finished it within an hour and then leaned back and observed the room. Shikamaru was leaning back in his chair, eyes closed to taking a nap, and he spotted Gaara using a sand eyeball to spy as Shino did the same thing with his insects, and throughout the 2 hours Ibiki would call out people he caught cheating, but the exact same people from the last time around. "Alright brats, you have made it to the final question. This will determine your fate. You will either pass or fail from here on out. If even one of your teammates decided to leave, then your whole team will fail. You have 5 minutes to make your choice. Those who remain will face the final question," Ibiki explained. Silence fell over the room and slowly Jonins caved and raised their hands and left the exam room. Naruto pinned a shaking Sakura with a small glare and she caught his eye and straightened her back determinedly. Finally the time passed and Ibiki glanced around the room, his face impassive. "You brats passed the first part of the exam. Congrats," he said plainly. The room suddenly felt lighter and not as tense as before, just as the window smashed in as Anko flew in and a banner dropped down with her name written on it. "Listen up, you maggots, the second part of the exams will overseen by me, the beautiful and sexy Anko Mitarashi." Anko smirked, hands on her hips. "The second part of the exam will take place in Area 44, also known as the Forest of Death. Be there in 15 minutes. Anko smirked sadistically before disappearing in a puff of smoke alongside Ibiki. Naruto stood up from his seat and stretched his arms above his head. He took in the nervous gaits of the people around him as the Jonins made their way to Area 44. Naruto made sure to be an eyesight of Shikamaru as they gathered with the other Jonin by the fenced-in forest. He kept running over the events that happened in the forest and the plan they developed. "It will be fine, brat, your plan is solid, just don't overthink it," Kurama said in his own way of soothing the Jonin's nerves. "Thanks, Kurama." Naruto breathed in a deep breath of air, calming himself. "Listen up, maggots, I'm only saying this once. Each team is also given either a scroll of heaven or scroll of earth, and teams are required to possess both in order to pass. You have 5 days to get to the tower in the middle of the forest with both scrolls. Now sign these waivers stating that if you die in this exam then it's not our fault. Once you are inside there are no rules. Now head to your gate and when you hear the whistle then the exam has began." Anko explained and everyone signed the waivers after some hesitation. "I'll see you in there, Shika." Naruto muttered to the Nara, who nodded, and the two bumped fists before heading to their separate gates. Naruto was surprised at how silent the other two were being as the trio checked their equipment, and before they knew it, Anko blew the whistle and the gates swung open. "Let's get that scroll and go to the tower as fast as we can." Naruto rotated his shoulders. "Who put you in charge?" Sakura growled as the group walked further into the forest. "HN." Sasuke took a right, and when Sakura followed him, Naruto smirked and silently made a permanent cage bunshine to travel with him while the real Naruto leapt high up into the trees. He traveled towards where he sensed Shikamaru's churka was coming from. Moving silently through the trees, he kept an eye out for enemy ninja. He spotted Team 8, using Hinata's Byakugan to find the tower and Shikamaru to find another team to fight. Naruto tensed as he leapt across the treetops, knowing that Shino's bugs and Shikamaru could figure out when he was nearby. He let out a breath of relief as he ducked between some leaves when Shino's head tilted upwards, but didn't indicate that he noticed anything. Naruto perched on a tree branch and glanced down, seeing Shikamaru leaping towards him, his own permanent cage bunshine in his place with Ino and Choji. "Are you ready to seal Gaara?" Naruto signed using Onbu hand signs and Shikamaru nodded. The two took off into the forest, Shikamaru following Naruto as the blonde was a sensory type and could pinpoint where Gaara was located in the forest. "Down there. Damn, his sand just destroyed that team." Naruto signed, wincing at the bloody scene below, and the duo dropped down to where the Sand siblings were standing. Kankuro and Temari automatically dropped into their fighting stances, Temari's hand going to her giant iron fan and Kankuro flexing his fingers ready to use his puppets. "Whoa, we aren't here to fight." Naruto held his hands up in surrender. You're Naruto Uzumaki?" Kankuro didn't relax his stance as he eyes the two distrustfully. Mother told me to expect you. I will hold back my sand for as long as I can. Gaara intoned, much to the surprise of his siblings. I'm going to set up a barrier that will make you immobile, and Shikamaru here will use his clan's jutsu to help keep your sand back. Trust us, Gaara. Naruto explained truthfully. The redhead Suna ninja tilted his head to the side for a moment before he nodded his assent. Gaara, are you sure? Temari asked, confused. Mother assured me Naruto, Uzumaki and Shikamaru Nara would not harm me, Gaara said emotionlessly. Alright, let's hurry then. Naruto fished out a seal and held it between his right index finger and middle finger. Activate. The seal glowed QB red as Naruto slammed it on the ground and a barrier engulfed the area around Gaara and Naruto. Alright, Kage Nui, shadow, stitching. Shikamaru made the right seal as he knelt on the ground, letting his shadow reached out and black tendrils lifted off the ground, wrapping themselves around the future Kazekage and his sand that was trying its hardest to react to the threat. Hurry, Nar. Shikamaru gritted out, sweat trickling down the side of his head, his shadows working its hardest to restrain Gaara's sand that was slowly breaking free of the tendrils and the power of the barrier seal. On it. Naruto pulled out another seal and dashed forward. He ducked under a stream of sand and made it to Gaara. With one hand Naruto tore the clothing blocking Gaara's stomach, exposing the horribly created seal. Fujin, he shouted as he slammed the new seal onto Gaara's skin as Shikamaru's jutsu wavered more and another stream of sand sliced at Naruto's cheek, giving him a cut that matched the one he got from Anko from the last time they did the Chunin exams. Red and blue churka erupted from between the two and swirled like a maelstrom contained inside of the barrier, and Shikamaru dropped the jutsu and breathed heavily. He wiped the sweat off his forehead and shakily stood back up on his feet. What's happening? Temari shouted at Shikamaru with her fan out. Naruto was fixing Gaara's seal. It was hurting him more than it was helping him. It was time bomb, it was made to fail. Shikamaru explained, hands up in surrender, knowing from experience that Temari plus her fan equals fatal injuries. Explain now, Nara. Temari growled, and Shikamaru had to bite back a fond smile at the familiar threat. That seal was not made by a seal master, it was made as a last-minute attempt to seal a tailed beast. Tailed beasts are very powerful, and its power has been leaking out of the seal, influencing Gaara's behavior. It has been harming both of them more than helping them. That is why Gaara has such large bags under his eyes from lack of sleep, and that is why he is so bloodthirsty. With this new seal, Gaara will change for the better and be able to sleep without worrying. His attitude towards people and life in general will improve. Shikamaru gave the two a long-winded explanation as the churka within the barrier died down. Shikamaru is right. Don't worry about Gaara, he can sleep easy now. Just do your best to be older siblings to him, he's going to need you. Naruto spoke to the two sand siblings as he brought down the barrier with a sleeping Gaara on his back, piggyback style, and he had bruises and scrapes visible on his skin. We promise. If what you said is true, then. Kankuro took his little brother from Naruto and the group smiled at each other. Here. Think these might come in handy. Temari pulled a couple of scrolls out of her pack. The group we ran into before had a couple on them. Oh, I'll take that one. Naruto gladly accepted the Earth Scroll while Shikamaru took the Heaven Scroll with a smile at Temari, who blushed slightly and looked away, annoyed. Thanks, we'll see you guys at the tower. Naruto beamed before the two looked at each other before they disappeared in swirls of leaves. Those two are odd, but it's like they are familiar too for some reason. Temari wondered aloud to her brother as the group headed towards the tower. Yeah, but I think you just like the one with the pineapple hairstyle, Kankuro teased, and Temari whacked him over the head with red cheeks. Pass me the Earth Scroll. Shikamaru called over to Naruto. The Hokage tossed it over to the Nara without question. The Junon sealed the two scrolls into another scroll that he put back in his pack. If our plan works, then we will need these later. It's a good thing they had extra scrolls, huh? Naruto nodded his head. Orochimaru should be attacking my team soon. We better get there before he uses his futon jutsu. Hang on to me, Shikamaru stretched his hand out and Shikamaru gripped the offered hand trustingly. Naruto sensed for his team's churka and growled when he felt Orochimaru's churka nearing them. Naruto quickly shushined them to his team's location and landed on a tree branch above their heads where they were making a password. Anytime now. Naruto muttered to Shikamaru, who nodded and tensed up. Sure enough, moments later Orochimaru sent out a full-scale futon. Date Appa, wind style. Great breakthrough. What now? Sasuke cried out against the wind as it scattered the trio apart. Once Naruto's cage bunshine was out of sight, the real Naruto released it and Shikamaru watched as the real Naruto dropped down to where Sasuke and Sakura were talking. Shikamaru observed Orochimaru, In Naruto's form, growl and back off. The Nara disappeared in a swirl of leaves and appeared next to his team, and he had his Cage Bunshine walk into the bushes to go to the bathroom and quickly released it before he took its place. Listen up, something has happened. You two need to meet up with Sasuke, Sakura, and then combine scrolls. You need to tell the Jounin stationed at the tower that a snake has entered the exams. Shikamaru used his Anbu commander tone and watched as the two stood at attention, taking in his words. Hi. The two agreed, albeit confused however. What are you going to do, Shikamaru? Choji asked, worried for his friend. I'm going to help Naruto do some snake hunting. Now hurry. Shikamaru threw his hand to the side. We will catch up with you two at the tower as soon as we can. Don't worry, we'll be fine. Okay, stay safe. Ino nodded her head. She had a look of distaste on her face at the fact they had to leave Shikamaru behind. Come on, Choji, we need to move. Hi. Choji gave Shikamaru one last worried look before the two took off towards the tower. Listen up, you two need to get out of here right now. Someone who can do that jutsu at that strength is higher than Shinnon level. Naruto told the other two, using his Hokage voice, and the two straightened subconsciously. What about you? Sakura asked, fingering her pack where the Heaven Scroll was located. I'll stay back and buy you two time. Naruto lied easily, he was planning on fighting Orochimaru. Sasuke looked outraged at being told what to do by the blonde, and Sakura was unsure about Naruto's plan. I'll be able to distract the ninja with my Cage Bunshines. I need you two to tell the Jounins at the tower that a snake has entered the exam, he said sternly. A snake? Sakura looked confused. We don't have time for this, leave now. Find Ino and Choji, they have an Earth Scroll, go to the tower together and warn them. Naruto ordered. I can fight, Sasuke said stubbornly. Katen jutsus are going to be no use in this battle. Leave now. Naruto almost shouted at the Uchiha, gritting his teeth. Fine. Sasuke ground his teeth and took off into the trees with Sakura hot on his heels. Shikamaru dropped down next to the blonde and gave a stiff nod, signaling that his team had been informed of what was happening. My, what do we have here? A Nara in the Kyuubi container, it must be my lucky day. Orochimaru called from a tree branch above the two, still wearing the female grass ninja's body. It would be our luck to get a cross-dressing snake, Naruto sighed dramatically as he stretched his arms. Do you have to badmouth a Sannin? Shikamaru gave the blonde a sideways glance. So you know who I am then? Orochimaru laughed and Naruto wiggled his pinky finger in his ear. Orochimaru, the snake team. By the way, toads are so much better. Naruto smirked. Orochimaru's eye twitched at the words. Stupid blonde must be a student of Jiraiya. He would take pleasure in killing him and throwing the dead form of the blonde at the feet of his old teammate and sensei, while taking control of the Kyuubi. Can we stop with all the trash talking now? I'd rather get this over with, Shikamaru sighed, annoyed. As you wish, Nara-kun. The snake flicked out his tongue and Shikamaru shuddered. The snake Sannin made a few hand signs and a massive snake summon rose up with Orochimaru standing on its head. This is going to be fun, Naruto said with a grin. Raiten, John, lightning style, false darkness. Shikamaru made the snake seal and the clouds above the treetops darkened, and Shikamaru grinned as around 10 lightning spears struck down towards Orochimaru and his snake. Orochimaru, to avoid being speared, leapt off the head and frowned in dismay as the lightning destroyed the snake completely. Futon, Kaze no Yaiba, wind style, blades of wind. Naruto shouted as he slashed out at Orochimaru with his index and middle fingers. He had made Cage Bunshines do the same jutsu and they spun around Orochimaru, slashing out violently at the ninja. Naruto landed on the ground beside Shikamaru and the Cage Bunshines situated themselves around the two in a protective circle. That was too easy, Naruto said calmly as he looked at the destroyed body of the grass ninja. You're right, Kyuubi-kun, what you destroyed was just a body I was possessing. Orochimaru's voice came from higher up and the two glanced up to see him standing in his original form. I still think he is a cross-dressing snake. Naruto grumbled and the preteen next to him stifled a giggle. You hurt me with your words, Orochimaru said with fake hurt in his voice. Naruto nodded and the Cage Bunshines leapt up at Orochimaru, he just cackled and fought them off. Fujin Chaka no Jutsu, Dust Cloud Ignition Technique. Naruto and Shikamaru called out together. Shikamaru supplied the stream of fire towards Orochimaru and Naruto added his wind, increasing the size and power as it engulfed Orochimaru, who had just finished off the last of Naruto's Cage Bunshines. The two watched as the firestorm slowly died out and Orochimaru stood there, smoldering, but still intact. Shikamaru's eyes darted around the clearing, something was off and all his senses were going crazy. He spotted a glint out of the corner of his eye and he moved as quickly as he could. Shikamaru jumped behind Naruto and let out a scream of pain as he collapsed to the ground, curling up on his right side. A sword was sticking out of his left shoulder, one that was far too familiar. The sword Orochimaru had flung at Naruto's unguarded back was Kusanagi. "Shikamaru!" Naruto shouted as he spun around to see the Nar on the ground, hands clutching at the sword that was protruding from his shoulder. "And Nar!" Shikamaru tried to get out but he had to grit his teeth in pain, eyes shut as he tried to control the pain that was racking his body. "You're going to regret that," Naruto said darkly as he rose up from where he was kneeling beside the fallen Nara. "Let's get this snake, he is going to burn for all he's done." Kurama growled and Naruto couldn't agree more, so he let Kurama's chakra flow through his veins. He glanced up, his eyes were red and slitted as he opened his mouth baring his fangs while his whiskers darkened and his nails grew into fox claws. Orange chakra surrounded around him and his hair stuck up like they did when he was fighting in the war. He decided to only show one of his original stages of his fusion with Kurama. He couldn't let Orochimaru know how well the two could work together, so he only let two tails appear. "Now things are getting interesting. Perhaps I should enter your little boyfriend more severely." Orochimaru smirked sadistically. "Touch him and I'll rip you to shreds." Naruto growled like an enraged fox. Kurama's own angry voice was infused in Naruto's tone. "Oh, I do so hope you can back those threats up, little fox." Orochimaru mocked and suddenly Naruto disappeared in a flash of orange thanks to his chakra and reappeared behind the Sannin. Orochimaru had no time to react before he was pummeled with powerful chakra-infused taijutsu on par with Tsunade. The blonde was switching the type of chakra he put into each blow. It ranged from Kurama's chakra to Raiten to Suiten. Each hit more powerful than the last, and Orochimaru could barely defend himself against any of the attacks. The blonde was in a rage at the fact his brother had a sword sticking out of his shoulder on the ground behind him. With one well-aimed futon jutsu and a slash from his clawed fingers from Naruto, Orochimaru howled as his right arm dropped to the ground. "You're more powerful than I first expect, Kyubi-kun, but if you're so busy fighting me, who is going to protect your little boyfriend?" Orochimaru smirked and Naruto whirled around to see a barrage of medical scalpels flying towards the curled-up form of Shikamaru. "Shikamaru!" Naruto shouted and leapt away from Orochimaru and blocked the attack from Kabuto most likely. Pain flared up on his thigh and Naruto looked down to see yet another sword. This one was sticking out of him this time. Naruto frowned. It was Raijin no Ken, sword of the Thunder God. How did the snake get it? He had to fight Aoi Rokuso to get it back. Well, at least getting his katana would be easier this time around. Naruto pulled the sword out of his thigh and adjusted his grip on the hilt, dropping into his kenjutsu stance. Meanwhile, Shikamaru had regained some color and was sitting up slowly. Hands gripping the hilt of Kusanagi, the Nar took a deep breath and quickly pulled it out of his shoulder, slamming his lips shut to stop any sounds from escaping. Shikamaru adjusted his grip and flew into motion, Naruto knowing what Shikamaru was thinking and rushed at Orochimaru with Raijin to distract the snake Sannin. Shikamaru's shoulder was throbbing with immense pain, but his focus was now completely on Kabuto and killing that bastard once and for all. He spotted the silver-haired Jonan pulling out another fistful of medical scalpels and they glowed with green chakra. Shikamaru lashed out at the scalpels, sending them out of his path, and with a cry of rage Shikamaru fed his chakra into the blade and stabbed at Kabuto, the blade crackling with Raiten and heating up with Kaden. Shikamaru's face was spattered with blood as Kabuto yelled in pain as his right leg from his knee down fell to the ground below. Shikamaru clung to the side of the tree with his chakra as Kabuto moved his hands down to his injured leg from his spot sitting on the tree branch. "I don't think so." Shikamaru growled and flew into movement once again. He aimed and more blood hit his face as stood over the injured Kabuto with a deadly smile, one that was promised death. Kabuto was now lacking hands to perform his precious medical ninjutsu. They were severed cleanly at the wrists on both arms. "You have no idea how long I've waited for this," Shikamaru stated, and he adjusted his stance with the katana. With a grim face he only had warred during the war, Shikamaru slashed and ended Kabuto's life via beheading. Kaden, Gokaku no Jutsu, Fire Style, Fireball Jutsu. Shikamaru made the hand signs and watched much too satisfied as Kabuto's corpse, including the hands and leg on the forest floor, turned to nothing, but ash, and even that ash was scattered in the wind coming from the battle below. He quickly made sure to turn his jutsu on Orochimaru's arm as well, leaving no trace of it either. "Your medical nin is dead," Shikamaru informed Orochimaru as he dropped down next to Naruto, who was back to his usual form, Raijin crackling with Naruto's own Raiten chakra. "I will end you, Nara-kun," Orochimaru hissed angrily and clicked his tongue, and Shikamaru let out a surprised cry as Kusanagi turned into a giant snake that latched onto Shikamaru's wrist. sinking its fangs deep into his skin. Shikamaru let out a pained scream as he tore the snake off of his wrist and it scurried back to Orochimaru. "I would hurry and get that wound treated, the poison will kill you soon, Nara-kun." Orochimaru smirked as Naruto growled and dropped into a defensive position in front of Shikamaru, who was clutching his wrist, falling to his knees in pain. "Until next we meet," Orochimaru promised, and he disappeared in a puff of smoke. "Damn it," Naruto growled before he turned to look at Shikamaru. "Think you can hang on long enough for me to get to the tower?" "I'll deal, Hokage-sama," Shikamaru gasped out, and the blonde Jonin carefully picked Shikamaru up bridal style, causing the Nara to stiffen. "Just hang on, Shika, just hang on," Naruto muttered and quickly shushined to the tower. Naruto appeared in the lobby. He rummaged around in Shikamaru's pack and unsealed the two scrolls and opened them together, Shikamaru leaning on his side for support. The scrolls let out a puff of smoke and Iruka appeared, ready to give Naruto his congratulations, but froze when he spotted both Shikamaru and Naruto bloody and leaning on each other for support. "Iruka-sensei," Naruto gasped out, breathing heavily. "Shikamaru has been poisoned. He needs help right now. My god, hold on you two." Iruka flew into sensei mode as he grabbed both of the Jonins and shushined right to the infirmary. "He's been poisoned, he needs help now," Iruka shouted, and the two Jonins were surrounded by medical ninjas. "You have to step aside," a medical ninja told Naruto sternly as the medical ninjas started to remove the poison from the snakebite and cut the mesh shirt away from Shikamaru's stab wound. Thankfully they didn't cut any lower, or they would see his Anbu tattoo and the rest of his scars. "No," Naruto growled at the ninja that was trying to remove him from Shikamaru's side. "He's in good hands, Naruto." Kakashi placed his hand on Naruto's shoulder as he and Asuma arrived in the infirmary. Asuma shifting his weight back and forth as his eyes stayed trained on his now unconscious student who was being tended to on a bed, worry evident in his eyes. "I don't care, I am not leaving him. If anyone tries to make me leave him, then I will take action." Naruto glared fiercely at his sensei that blinked in shock at the words and the glare. The words and tone of voice reminded the silver-haired Jounin of his time in the Anbu. That was how a captain talked when one of their own was injured. "Okay, Nara-chan, how about we put you in the bed right beside Shikamaru-kun then? You need to get that wound on your thigh checked out. Is that a sword?" Kakashi suggested, and started in shock at Raijin that Naruto had slung at his waist. "That's fine." "Huh, yeah it is, isn't it?" Naruto laughed nervously and placed the sword on a table before he hopped up onto the bedside Shikamaru's and silently let the medical ninja attend to his injury and fed him a churka pill to replenish his churka. Naruto kept his eyes trained on Shikamaru the whole time, feeling worry bubbling up in his chest. "He'll be alright, we got to the poison in time," the lead medical nin that was working on the Nara informed the gathered Jounins and the one Jonin. "Thank God," Naruto sighed in relief, leaning back against the pillow behind him, now feeling at peace. "Naruto-kun," the Sandaime called out as he flew into the infirmary with Iruka, Guy and Kurenai at his heels. "Jigi." Naruto raised his hand at the current Hokage. "It's always you, isn't it, Naruto-kun?" Hiruzen rubbed the bridge of his nose. "Is that Raijin?" "I don't know, to me it's just a sword." "Did you get our message?" Naruto asked after snickering at the Hokage. "A snake has entered the exam? Very clever," Hiruzen admitted. "Did you send anyone out to find him?" Naruto asked. "Yes we did, but we can find no trace of him," Hiruzen said, annoyance lacing his tone. Naruto huffed. How the Jounins that had been sent didn't notice their battle he will never know. Perhaps there were more spies for the snake than he first thought, or maybe they had been root members in disguise and he knew Danzo had worked with the snake Sanin in the past. "Are our teammates okay?" Naruto asked. "They arrived here 10 minutes before you two did, they are uninjured, just rather worried about you two," Iruka assured the blonde, feeling better than he did when Naruto had first come in with Shikamaru, both covered in blood and the Nar dying. Naruto snorted at the idea of his team being worried for him. Ino and Choji he could see, but not so much Sasuke and Sakura. "If you feel up to it, Naruto-kun, we need to know what happened," Hiruzen said in a soft tone. "I'll tell you when Shikamaru wakes up." Naruto crossed his arms stubbornly. "Not a second before. It would be better if you told us what happened while it was fresh in your mind," Hiruzen said in a placating tone, and Naruto just frowned. "I am not going to say anything until Shikamaru wakes up," Naruto repeated forcefully. "Alright then, try to get some rest, Naruto-kun. We will wake you up when Shikamaru awakens," Hiruzen agreed, recognizing that stubborn look on Naruto's face. It was a mixture of Minato and Kushina's, and those two were stubborn enough on their own. Naruto just smiled innocently at the group before he gave Shikamaru's still form one last glance, seeing Asuma sitting in a chair beside the Nara already. Naruto smiled softly at the sight before he closed his eyes to try to sleep. As he faded into blissed unconsciousness, he felt a hand gently pat his head, and if he had to guess, he would think it was Kakashi or Iruka-sensei. "Are you just going to keep sleeping?" Shikamaru was currently poking Naruto's whiskered cheek. He had woken up a few moments ago and Asuma had gone to go get his father and the other Jounins, leaving the two alone in the infirmary. I'm up. Naruto blearily opened his eyes. "You okay?" "I've been better, but I've also been worse, so I'm somewhere in the middle, I think." Shikamaru gently touched his injured shoulder. "This is going to make my fight against Kin so much more troublesome. I think the whole thing went rather well. So what parts should we omit?" Naruto asked as he swung his legs over the side of the bed and locked eyes with Nara. "We omit the part about you using Kurama's churka, me finally killing Kabuto and you slicing off Orochimaru's arm," Shikamaru said, and Naruto nodded his head in agreement. "How did it feel to get rid of that bastard once and for all?" Naruto asked. "Amazing. I hate killing, but he deserved it. Without him at the snake's side, we can at least hope the reanimations of our allies and enemies never will happen," Shikamaru stated. "If we do need the power of the Hokages, then I know the jutsu." The two fell silent as the doors swung open as the Sandaime, their senseis and a few other familiar elite Jounins entered. "How are you two feeling today?" Sandaime asked kindly. "Stiff," Shikamaru said as he gingerly rotating his injured wrist. "Tired." Naruto rubbed his eyes and Shikamaru just snorted. Like a true Nara, Shikamaru teased and Naruto stuck his tongue out at him. "So you and Shikamaru-kun are close, Naruto-chan?" Kakashi asked innocently. "He lives at my house now, so I'm going to say yes," Shikamaru answered as Naruto rubbed his head while chuckling. "I wasn't aware of this." Sandaime took the time to really look at Naruto and guilt stabbed at him when he saw that the Jonin had grown taller and was filling out to a healthy size. All because he was in a loving household where they made sure he was well rested and fed. In a few weeks the Naras did what he couldn't for 12 years. "Are we going to talk about what happened now, or can I go back to sleep?" Naruto asked curiously. "I don't really want to talk, but I did say we would when Shikamaru woke up, and I never go back on my word." "Let's start on how you knew that Orochimaru was in the Forest of Death," Sandaime said as the group settled down in chairs. Naruto moved over on his bed and Shikamaru silently slid into the empty space, their shoulders and thighs touching. Naruto gently curled his hand around Shikamaru's injured wrist, very subtly sending his churka into the Nara to help the healing process alongside his own stab wound that was already closing up. The two noticed the looks they were getting from the others, but they couldn't care less. The two brothers needed to be in contact with each other to prove to themselves that they are both alive and breathing. Team 7 was attacked by a high-power futon, Date-Appa, wind style, great breakthrough, that no Jonin in this exam should be able to produce. That was the first tip-off. The second one was when I was separated from the other two. A giant snake tried to swallow me. After killing it, causing it to disappear, it made sense it was a summons. The only two snake summoners are Anko-san and Orochimaru, the snake Sanin. Anko-san was one of our proctors and would never attack us, so Orochimaru was the only logical choice. I created a cage bunshine to inform Shikamaru before I went back to Team 7. I told them to meet up with Team 10 and to tell you all that Orochimaru was in the forest. Naruto explained. It sounded very plausible and the Jounins were nodding. This lined up with what the Jonins had told them. The use of Team 7 instead of my team didn't go unnoticed by the Jounins and Hokage. Kakashi wasn't too surprised by the wording as he had seen how the blonde was treated by his teammates. "Why did you send a cage bunshine to get Shikamaru? Why didn't you flee with your team?" Sandaime asked, wondering why Naruto chose to stay behind and fight if he knew a Jonin couldn't produce the power in the jutsu. "We couldn't take the chance that Team 7 would be ambushed. I sent a message to Shikamaru because we know how to work together and I know for a fact he will always have my back, and he proved that," Naruto said truthfully, his voice flat. "Why do you think Orochimaru was going to ambush your team?" Sandaime questioned. "It's obvious, isn't it?" Shikamaru raised an eyebrow. "He must have a source in the village, because the only reason he would invade the exams and attack Team 7 out of all the teams there is because of Sasuke's eyes. If he wanted to make a political impact, he would have went for the team from Suna that held all three children of the Yondai Namikaze Kage. He makes a good point." Kurenai muttered as the Hokage paled at the theory the Nara gave. "What happened when you got there, Shikamaru?" Asuma asked his student, worry evident in his tone as he eyed the bandages the Nara was sporting. "I arrived in time to see a kunoichi from the hidden grass village appear. She knew who we were and she summoned a giant snake, and we deduced that this was actually Orochimaru." I destroyed the summon with a Raiden Jutsu while Naruto used his Cage Bunshines to attack Orochimaru himself. But in the end he left the Kunoichi's body. She had been dead for a while. Shikamaru picked up the story and he could see he and Naruto had their audience on the edge of their seats. Now Shikamaru did something brave and stupid. Naruto gave Shikamaru a sideways glare. "I would do it again and you know it," Shikamaru said in a steely tone. Something was off with the version of Orochimaru that Naruto was fighting and I spotted something flying at Naruto's back. I jumped in the way and got a sword through my shoulder for my troubles. Shikamaru gently touched his injured shoulder, feeling Naruto's chakra making its way up to it to help heal it. Shikamaru. Asuma breathed out, he really needed a cigarette. "I got really mad and attacked Orochimaru," Naruto admitted, sending more chakra into Shikamaru's body to help him heal. "Oh Naruto." Hiruzen rubbed his nose at the blonde who didn't the least bit concerned about the fact he took on a Sannin. Meanwhile he had a Bunshine in hiding and used that to launch a sneak attack on Shikamaru. I deflected the weapons and that's when Orochimaru stabbed my thigh with that katana. Naruto gestured to Raijin that was still sitting on a nearby table, earning some wide-eyed looks of utter surprise at the sight of the long-lost katana. Shikamaru managed to pull the other sword out of his shoulder, but we guess Orochimaru knew he couldn't afford to stay any longer in case reinforcements arrived. He needed a distraction, so as he turned the sword Shikamaru was holding into a snake, making it bite Shikamaru's wrist. He fled knowing that we had to get to the tower to remove the poison and therefore couldn't follow him. Naruto finished the story and leaned back against the pillows, talked out. Shikamaru was nodding every so often to show Naruto was telling the truth, well, a very plausible version of it anyways. It is very impressive that two Genons were able to take on a Sannin and survive. Genma commented from around the senbone he was gnawing on. "Thanks." Naruto shrugged his shoulders carefully as not to jostle Shikamaru too much. "How did you two know it was Orochimaru in the first place?" the Sandaime asked curiously. "There are only two known snake summoners, Orochimaru one of the Sannins and Anko. It was doubtful that she would attack Shinons from her own village, so the only logical conclusion was that it was Orochimaru, and it was the correct conclusion." Shikamaru shrugged his shoulder, letting them deduce the rest for themselves. "Naruto-kun. When you said you got mad, was it like the time with Haku?" Kakashi asked the one question that the two Genon knew they all wanted to know the answer to. "Tap into the Kyuubi's power? I'm not sure, but I think it was just plain old anger all from one Naruto Uzumaki." Naruto jerked a thumb to his chest and had to hold back a laugh at the looks he was getting as he just blurted out his secret in front of Shikamaru. "Naruto, you can't just go around saying that S-class secret," Hiruzen scolded. "I am Inara. I figured out about the Kyuubi back in the academy. It wasn't that hard to find out. The secret isn't so much of a secret if you use your brain. The fact that the villagers know and take their anger out on him and what day his birthday was on made figuring out the secret much easier," Shikamaru said emotionlessly, but Naruto could see the anger flaring up in his brother's eyes. The Hokage sat back, stung by the Nara's words, but he knew that the Genon was right. His mind was processing everything that the two had told him. If he was going by the performances reviews he had read, these two should have died during the fight with Orochimaru. "You two. There is something you aren't telling us," the Sandaime said after processing the words from the two Genon. "We're not dead lasts," Naruto offered. "More like silent prodigies," Shikamaru suggested. "Hey, more like lazy prodigies," Naruto teased the boy next to him. "Same difference really." Shikamaru waved his uninjured hand dismissively. "Whatever you say." "So Gigi, what should I do with that katana?" Naruto turned back to the assembled group who were all look at them like they were seeing the two for the first time. "Keep it, Naruto. It's only fitting that you are the one to wield it next after all. Its name is Raijin no Ken, Sword of the Thunder God," Sandaime said wearily. "Okay Gigi, Kakashi-sensei, how many days do we have left until the 5 days deadline is finished?" Naruto asked, honestly wondering. 3 days are left." Kakashi answered his student's question. "Awesome, I can't wait to eat something. Do you think they have ramen here?" Naruto turned to Shikamaru excited. "If they do, it will only be instant." Shikamaru guessed and the blonde shuddered at the mere thought of it. "Never mind then." He pouted and Shikamaru rolled his eyes fondly at the blonde. "So are we done here?" Naruto turned his blue eyes to the others in the room, his voice unconsciously going into his cage voice. "Shikamaru is exhausted and needs his rest." Shikamaru made a noise of protest, but his eyes were drooping and his eyelids felt like lead. "We have what we need, sleep well you two, and we will send some food up soon. Thank you for what you did in the forest, we will take it from here." Sandaime stood up and inclined his head towards the two who nodded back out of respect for the old man. But both of them knew that wasn't the case. They knew what was coming and how to counter it while the Sun Daime had no clue. The Hokage's Jounin Guard escorted out Hiruzen while Guy and Kurenai went to tell Team 7 and Team 10 that Naruto and Shikamaru were fine, leaving Kakashi and Asuma to stay back. "How are you two doing? Really?" Asuma asked, gently prodding at the two Jounins. "We're fine, Asuma-sensei," Shikamaru said, resting his head on Naruto's shoulder. "Comfortable. It was intense, but nothing we couldn't handle," Naruto said, seriously staring Kakashi down. It was only a half-lie. The war had been intense. The fight with Orochimaru was just annoying until the moment Shikamaru got hurt. That is when it turned personal for Naruto and Kurama. "You two are planning on giving us more heart attacks in the future, aren't you?" Kakashi sighed. "There's a high chance." Naruto nodded sagely. "We just have decided to stop hiding our true skills. Even if they had to change their appearances to show their skills, they would be shown." "I'll put him back in his bed." Asuma gestured to the now sleeping Nara. Naruto steadied Asuma for a moment before nodding his consent and released his hold on the Nara's wrist. Asuma slid his arms under the backs of Shikamaru's knees and his other arm around the small of Shikamaru's back. He frowned a bit at how light the 12-year-old was before he gently placed him back in the bed beside Naruto and tucked him in, making sure his shoulder and wrist were comfortable. Naruto smiled at the sight of Asuma placing his hand on Shikamaru's forehead, looking like a worried parent. "We'll let you two get some sleep and check on that food." Kakashi patted Naruto on the head, hand lingering there for a bit. "Thanks, sensei." Naruto beamed at the idea of food. Kakashi gave an eye smile and the two Jounins left the infirmary. Silence descended on the room. Naruto's eyes darted around the room and smirked a bit when he spotted a stream of sand making its way through the small crack between the ground and the door. "The coast is clear, Gar, if you want to come in and talk," Naruto commented aloud. Shikamaru shifted slightly in his sleep, but settled down, not sensing any danger. The door slid open and Gaara walked in, the sand returning to his huge gourd. "Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze, you have about 3 minutes to tell me why I'm in my Jonin body and not lying dead on a battlefield. I don't care if you are injured, I will strangle you with my sand if I don't get a good answer." Gaara growled as he stomped into the room. "I thought they might happen. Well, Gaara, welcome to the past." Naruto spread his arms to the side. "Explain. Now." Gaara stopped at the end of Naruto's bed, his teal eyes flicking to the unconscious form of Shikamaru. "Any pressing questions you want to get off your chest before I start? It's kind of a long story," Naruto suggested. "What happened at the end of the war?" Gaara asked, needing to know this answer. Naruto stayed silent while he quickly placed up a privacy barrier around the trio. "We won. Shikamaru and I were the only ones left alive on the battlefield, but we were both dying from our wounds and chakra depletion. Shikamaru survived because he was the brains behind our plans and the main Anbu commander. Everyone did their best to protect him until the end," Naruto said quietly, his eyes far away. Gaara bowed his head. And then Naruto launched into his tale of how they came to be in the past, what they had done so far, what they had planned out and what happened in the forest with Orochimaru. He also gave Gaara his theory of how once his seal was altered with Naruto's own time-fluxing chakra and the fact that tailed beasts know of a different timeline, it would make sense that when the two come in contact it would give the hosts their memories back. "You two have set up solid groundwork for the future." Gaara nodded his consent from his Kazekage mindset. "We can work in you and your siblings into the plan for the invasion. We still need Baki to be overhead talking about the invasion, but in the original timeline Baki was talking with Kabuto. Thanks to Shikamaru that is no longer an option, however for the long run it was well worth it." Naruto glanced over at the slumbering Nara with a proud smile on his face. "I'm glad that bastard is finally gone." Gaara smirked. "I can order Baki to be seen talking to a sound ninja instead, and I will make sure the other Suna ninjas know that we will not be taking part in the invasion with Otto. Instead we are to help the leave." "You're not Kazekage right now, Gaara," Naruto said slowly. "So you're not Hokage either, but you still get people to listen to you. Besides, the Suna ninjas other than my siblings don't know that I've lost my bloodthirsty nature and they are terrified of me still." Gaara reminded the blonde, who nodded, taking this into the equation as his stomach growled. "I should leave. You need to eat something and I've got about 12 years of sleep to catch up on." "Again?" Gaara commented as he stood up from his place at the end of Naruto's bed. "I'm glad that Kurama brought you and Shikamaru back out. He gave me another chance to live in my siblings back." Gaara gave a soft smile before he left the room, giving Naruto just enough time to bring down the barrier before a medical ninja came in with 2 trays of food. She nodded her head at Naruto as she placed down the trays. She checked Shikamaru's wounds gently, having Naruto's eyes following her every movement just in case before she left. Naruto dug into his food, only now realizing how hungry he was and how much he really needed to have solid food in his stomach. He polished off his own food and noticed that Shikamaru was still fast asleep. As much as the Nara needed sleep, he needed food as well. Naruto slid out of his bed and started to poke Shikamaru's cheek. "Wake up, Shika, wake up and eat the food," he sang as he started to poke both cheeks and watched amused as Shikamaru's face twitched. "Food, Shika-chan, you force food on me all the time, now it's time to return the favor. I hate you," Shikamaru ground out as he squinted up at the blonde who just beamed and helped his brother sit up. Yeah. Well, the bright side is that Gaara is our Gaara and is on board with our plans," Naruto said cheerfully as Shikamaru slowly ate his food. "Huh?" Shikamaru chewed thoughtfully. "It's good that he won't break Lee's limbs this time around, and it's really good that he's our Kazekage again." "I think so too." Naruto beamed happily. "Now we have 3 days to relax and get our energy back before the prelims begin." "Finished, can I go back to sleep now?" Shikamaru pushed his empty tray away from him. "Yes, you lazy Nari, you can." Naruto rolled his eyes as Shikamaru sank back into his pillows and closed his eyes. Naruto slid back into his own bed and decided to get some sleep of his own. That's it for this video. I hope you all enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and follow me on my other social media accounts. Anime God here, and I'm signing off.